What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are here to talk about WrestleMania. Again, I feel like my last few videos, they've all kind of been about WrestleMania. As we approach WrestleMania, as we get closer and closer to WrestleMania, I feel like the closer we get, I'm still unsure. This should have been an absolute layup of a WrestleMania. Everything here is so easy, it's a layup. You know, Cena's last Mania, we've got Punk finally healthy, all of these things, and it just feels like they're clutching at straws. And the most recent news is that CM Punk is finally getting his WrestleMania main event, and me, of all people, you know, the biggest Phil guy you know, why this match now, is my question. Now, this is completely aside from the fact that they spent the entire Royal Rumble telling us at least 10-15 times in each Royal Rumble, never mind all the times in between the matches and all the times in the build, that the winner of each Royal Rumble gets to main event WrestleMania. We now have it confirmed that Night 1 is going to be main evented by Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins and CM Punk, and Night 2 is going to be main evented by Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Which means yet again on a two-night WrestleMania we cannot get a women's match to main event the show, and once again we have the Royal Rumble for main eventing WrestleMania, once again not meaning anything. Now I understand that WWE like to say, oh, just because it doesn't go on last doesn't mean it's not the main event. That is the main event. That is the main event. That's what you're waiting for. There's nothing to follow it. That is the lasting memory of the show. The main event is empirically what goes on last. Like, without a doubt, the main event is what goes on last. Now, you can say it's all this, double main event, whatever. Okay, what one went on last, because that's the main event. And they made a big point as well with Heyman telling Punk during that contract signing, and Punk welling up and tearing up in the ring. I would imagine that was how he found out that match was going on last, live on TV. And it was a wonderful moment. Me, as the biggest Phil guy you know, was very, very happy with that. I think, you know, he's deserved that WrestleMania main event for a very long time. He deserved that WrestleMania main event years and years and years ago. At the very least, he deserved to be inserted into the match with Cena and Rock for Cena Rock 2, and not just because Rock immediately fucking tore his legs apart 3 minutes in and the rest of it was awful. But at the very least, for what he did for that championship for, you know, the 434 days that he held it, he deserved to be in that match at the very least. But now we're giving Punk a Mania main event based on nothing other than the fact that he was injured last year. Right now, with the feud that he is in and what he is doing, this does not deserve to be in the main event of the show. And it hurts me to say that, but this year, CM Punk does not deserve a WrestleMania main event. We are fast approaching 4 years since the last time we had women main event WrestleMania, and that was Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. In that time since, we have had Roman main event 2 nights of WrestleMania last year, as did Cody. We have had fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin come back out of retirement and main event a night of WrestleMania. You know, we've had the tag titles main event WrestleMania. We've had all these things happen, and when you look at the state of the women's division in terms of the way that it's been booked, it's not been booked incredibly well. I was vocally against a lot of the Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley feud for the sole reason that the title felt secondary, for the sole reason that they were feuding over you know, a Latino twink, as I always like to say. That feud was not about the championship. That feud was about who gets to go home and buck Dominic Mysterio, completely undervaluing and devaluing that championship, all because it was playing second fiddle to Dominic Mysterio. And I love Dominic Mysterio. I am such a huge Dominic Mysterio guy. I have been for you know, I've been a vocal supporter of Dominic Mysterio for quite a lot of his career, even when he was mid. I always thought, you know, there was something there, but he just needed to change it up. And then obviously he's changed it up and become what he is now. I'm really excited for him to probably win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. But I still think, you know, when we look at the way that the women's division has been treated, especially over on Raw for, you know, over a year now, you look at all the amazing things Rhea Ripley was doing basically from the Charlotte match and then right the way through, and having the match with Becky, and how much she built that division up, and how much she built a lot of the company's profile through social media just by being Rhea Ripley. People know who Rhea Ripley are who do not watch wrestling, and you have to assume that translates into people going, what's this thing that I keep seeing this person from, and then watching wrestling and turning a few heads and getting people in. Rhea Ripley has done a lot for the visibility of WWE, and I understand people say, you know, she's always there, she's been featured too much. I can understand that argument, but when we look at the match that we are going to be getting at WrestleMania, there's triple threat with Bianca and Io and Rhea. Has there ever been a match so clear cut perfect the main event a night of WrestleMania than that. As well, we look at the match for the other Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. I spoke about that during my Royal Rumble review. I'm a big fan of that stylistically. I'm a big fan of what both of them bring to the table. I'm a big fan of the echoes of it. They feel very similar, and they feel kind of almost the next generational version of each other, essentially. They are completely different in ring, and obviously Charlotte does the whole Flair thing. Obviously she is Charlotte Flair, but I think a lot of their game is very, very similar. I think a lot of the way they present themselves is very, very similar, and I feel like, to me, they are as close to each other in terms of, you know what I mean, in terms of looking at a stylistic matchup and, like, I guess a thematic matchup in terms of the wrestling. I don't think there's a match that really feels as good as them right now, especially for Tiffany. I think both of them work together perfectly. And again, a match I wouldn't be averse to having main event WrestleMania. Charlotte's, consistently shown that she is one of the best when she can be bothered actually putting in the graft. And from all the build of this, she's been bothered putting in the graft. But then we come to this match. A match that I've spoke about that I'm not entirely overly fussed on, with Seth and Roman and Punk. And this just kind of feels like creative went, fuck, we don't have anything for any of these guys. And to me, this feels fairly similar to the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship 4-way match from Wrestle Kingdom 12. 12? The year that Jericho wrestled Omega. 12, yeah, 12. It feels very similar to that for me, and I'll tell you why. So, if you're unfamiliar with that match was Hiromu Takahashi versus Kushida versus Marty Scurll versus Will Ospreay, who I believe was the Junior Heavyweight Champion at the time. Now, Ospreay had been feuding with Scurll kind of forever. They were the two English guys who went across to Japan. They were sort of two of the biggest British cruisers throughout the 2010s, probably the two most relevant British cruisers for the majority of the 2010s, especially then when they went out to Japan. You had Will and Chaos, you had Marty and the Bullet Club. They had, a link. They were feuding. You had Kushida and Takahashi, who had been feuding kind of non-stop as well throughout most of the kind of late 2010s as well. Takahashi was kind of the rising star of the junior heavyweight division. Kushida, the sort of stalwart face of the junior heavyweight division for the majority of the 2010s. They had some incredible matches, some incredible feuds. They had done a lot together. And then Ospreay, who I believe was the champ going in, let me just double check. Sorry, Marty was the champ going in. But Ospreay, as the sort of cruiser on the rise and the biggest star in the world, and one of the biggest gaijin in New Japan, probably only behind Kenny, in the way that he was sort of revitalising the junior heavyweight division and going all over the world and being the Will Ospreay of the late 2010s that we all fell in love with. Ospreay had feuds with Kushida and with Hiromu and with Marty. So this match was all kind of built around Ospreay has wrestled all of these guys. He's had feuds with Marty. Kushida and Hiromu have had feuds. Let's just do this big match because they're our four biggest stars of the junior heavyweight division. But what happened when Ospreay was out of the ring? Or what happened when Marty was the one standing tall? There's no real interesting thematic reason for Kushida and Takahashi to be going at Marty. As the champion, I get it, but in terms of actually building a good story around that title and around that match, when Ospreay was out of the ring, it kind of just felt like we were doing cool spots until Ospreay got back in the ring, and we can continue to tell the story of this match, which was Ospreay rising to the top and Ospreay winning that championship against three people that he has had long rivalries with. And when Marty and Ospreay were out of the ring, it was cool because we had Kushida and Takahashi, going back at it, bringing up their feuds and bringing up their history. And when they were out of the ring, we had Ospreay and Marty bringing up their feuds and bringing up their history. But again, as good as that match was, it felt like there was dead air. Because, as I said, Marty had no interesting story reason to really be fighting with Kushida the same way he didn't with Takahashi. And that's just, to me, how this match feels. Because I've said, Punk versus Rollins is interesting. They do not like each other in real life. They have been feuding pretty much since the day that CM Punk came back. They've had some really good matches, some really good series. Them two, historically, in the WWE canon, right now, the world that we are setting up, they do not like each other. They do not fuck with each other. They should be having a match at WrestleMania. On the other hand, Punk was a Heyman guy. Roman is now the Heyman guy. Punk helped the Bloodline in War Games for a favour from Paul Heyman, which we now know is obviously the WrestleMania main event. But all of these things, that ties a very interesting story between those two. It ties a very interesting story between Roman and Punk. And obviously, Roman and Seth, they never need a reason to be feuding. They will fight until they are dead. But there is no interesting through line for the three of them. The way that if we replace Roman with Drew, this is very interesting, because they have all just been in a triangle of hatred, essentially, since Punk came back again. These three do not like each other. And I understand that whilst we are still telling that story here, that Roman and Punk and Rollins, they do not like each other, it's hard for us to really care about that when Roman's not on TV. And when you look at the work that Drew did last year, if we put Drew in this situation, this match is infinitely more interesting. If we take one of these people out of this match is infinitely more interesting. This match just feels like they went, fuck, we don't have anything for Punk or for Roman or for Seth. I guess it's kind of, all of them have an interesting story with each other individually. So let's have it be a not entirely interesting story with the three of them? Because I'm not sold on this. I'm not sold on this story whatsoever. And as much as I like to come on here and talk about, it's not all, the whole, what's better, is it wrestling or storytelling? It's all the one thing. It is all one thing. It's all combined. It's all intertwined. But in terms of an actual story for this feud and for this match, especially for big shows like WrestleMania, like, I'm such a defender of just putting on matches to put on matches and to have hoops, and I'm such a big advocate of that at WrestleMania as well. But a lot of the time when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about, hey, we don't really have a plan for, let's just say the Women's Intercontinental Championship with Valkyrie. Okay, let's just have 8 women and ladders. Let's just do that. But you're putting that match on at the start of the card, maybe second in, not in the main event of the night. So once again, as we approach this WrestleMania belt, I am still not convinced. And from a Mania that should have been an absolute slam dunk, we have CM Punk back and we have CM Punk healthy. We have Cena back on his last run. We have the year-long reign of Cody Rhodes. We have all of these things that should have been an absolute, like I say, an absolute slam dunk. We've got Rhea, maybe the most over she's ever been. We've got Bianca winning the Chamber. We've got Io on the run of her fucking life. We've got all these things going into it that should have led to such an easy WrestleMania build. WWE have just decided to make it so complicated for no reason. The Cena heel turn, as much as I'm still willing to be taken down the path and still willing to be led along, and I'm still hopeful for a lot of good stuff out of this, he cut the same promo 2 weeks in a row, and it does kind of feel like he is treading water because they don't really know what they want to do. It's very clear that The Rock had this idea, and obviously being a part of the TKO board can throw his weight around, and it's very clear that The Rock had this idea for this story to be Cody turning heel, who said no, because obviously Cody said no to turning heel. I remember the Codyverse. So they just went, Cena, would you do it? And Cena clearly just went, yeah, fuck it, why not? I've not been heel in 20 odd years. And that's clearly all the discussion that they had regarding the Cena heel turn. And the fact he's not been on TV to really build this has just made it confusing. And when he wins the championship and he's on TV more, we'll get more good stuff out of this. But as we're building to WrestleMania, we should know what's going on, I don't think we should be using WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, as the jumping off point. WrestleMania shouldn't be the point where nah, we just need to get through this and then it's going to pick up. Look at what they did with the AJ and Shinsuke feud. They had a fine match at WrestleMania 34. Shinsuke turns heel, and then they had a few bangers after that, but no one remembers them because no one was watching fucking Backlash. And the feud was all built around kicking the other one in the cock, and that wasn't great. But they had some really good matches in that feud. But no one remembers them because they came after WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the season finale. WrestleMania is the point that everything runs to. All roads lead to WrestleMania. Why are we treating WrestleMania like just another stop? That's my issue with this. Here's the thing. If you put Roman Punk and Rollins in the main event of SummerSlam, I do not bat an eye. If you put Roman Punk and Rollins in the main event of a Backlash, I'm absolutely jumping with joy. I'm fucking buzzing. But nothing they have done has made me care about this match enough, when everything they have done with the Rhea Bianca and Io match has made me care. And everything they've done with the Charlotte and Tiffy match has made me care. Now, I am glad this means opening match Jey Uso is going to be in your city. And is not going to main event a night at WrestleMania because we've been over that. But I don't get it. This WrestleMania build should have been so easy. So easy. Cena wins the Rumble, ties Austin. Simple. Punk wins the Chamber, gets his main event that way. Simple. Jey Uso doesn't have a singles match on the card. It's so simple, guys. But yeah. Thanks for listening to me rant if you made it this far. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like and share it around with your friends. Let me know what you think of the Mania build so far down in the comments below. As much as I'm happy that CM Punk is getting this match, to me, this just screams that they're going... To me, he should have been getting it next year. And to me, this just kind of screams that they have essentially no real plan to make him the guy. And I understand in the world of WWE right now, they're kind of... I think they like to think they're almost operating without the guy, but it is Cody. And I do think that a show can run without one specific guy as, like, this is the guy. You know, you can just have multiple people being up the top of the card. You know, you look back to the kind of... The when I got into wrestling, the kind of mid-2000s, you know, you had Taker, and you had Batista, and you had Edge, and Cena, and Orton, and all these guys up the top of the card. And I guess Cena was the guy, but they were all kind of presented on this level. And to me, given Punk the main event in the Roman match, with nothing at stake and a story that I'm not interested in, to me screams they've gone, oh, for fuck's sakes, there you go, there's your main event of WrestleMania now, fuck off. That's what it feels like to me. But yeah, let me know what you think of this down in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Like I said, share this around to all your friends, tell them about the handsome man with the good wrestling opinions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.